Hi guys, it's Andy at Kinder Kitchens again. I've got another video for you today. You got us in the studio, second video today actually, we're doing really well, media day today. I've just done one on worktops, so if that's of interest to you then check that out on the website or the YouTube page. We're in the showroom today at Kinder Kitchens, based in New Mills. We do bespoke kitchens for people in the area. And today's video is it's inspired by a conversation I had with a client probably 6 or 8 months ago, a client who we fitted a kitchen for. And during the sales process, we'd had a conversation about another quote that she'd got from a different kitchen supplier. And I wanted to just go through that today and basically try to answer the question of the name of the video, which is what got you on here, which is, can you get a top quality kitchen at flat pack prices? And we're going to talk about that. We're going to go through a few different things, what the price difference actually is there a price difference, why is there a price difference, and what typically that price difference might be. We're going to have a quick look through a plan from a costing perspective. I've just got that in front of me, but I'll put you guys one on the screen when I edit the video in a bit. And then at the end of this, we'll have an answer. The short answer is yes, basically you can. You might not get it quite the same price, but you get it pretty close. But let's get into it proper, and we'll see what we discover. So the first difference is, let's categorize our kitchen suppliers. So kind of B&Q, Wren, Howdens, what I would call the sort of big sort of supermarket kitchen suppliers, the big boys. And I don't think that I would be doing them an injustice by saying that I'm not here to slag anyone off. Everyone's got their price point and doing what they're doing. I don't think I'd be doing them an injustice by saying that the product is generally sold on a price basis. You don't typically see marketing and advertising from these companies suggesting that they're going to give you the best quality kitchen that exists, because I don't think they'd get away with that, and it wouldn't feel quite right. Typically, their marketing strategy more goes towards value based, so at a friendlier price point, let's say. And I think that's fair comment for all of those sort of companies. And typically, if you were to go into an independent kitchen retailer, somebody who had a great reputation, a local company with just a small amount of kitchens, like Kinder Kitchens, for example, that kind of place, the sort of marketing generally would revolve around a higher quality product and a higher quality service. So let's have a look at those two things, because there is a difference between those two companies, and that's basically summarizes it, what we just said there. So is there a difference in price? If you were to go into an independent retailer and get a kitchen quote, and if you were to go into one of the big guys that I just mentioned before and get a kitchen quote, would there be a difference in that final figure? And the answer to that is yes, almost certainly there's going to be a difference. What kind of a difference would it be? It could be a few £1,000s, it could be a bit more. But there will definitely be a difference. And the important thing that we drill down on here is why is there a difference? Why is there a difference between those two things? And that's what we're going to explain today. What's the difference? And the difference is, well, let's start at the beginning. Let's talk about the actual kitchen itself. So once it's all done, it's all fitted in your house, the actual furniture that you've got. And I'm not going to go too much into appliances here, because you might get a cheap kitchen and put all Neff appliances in, which are quite expensive. You might put the cheaper end of Neff in or whatever. And you might get an expensive kitchen and put a cheaper end appliance in. I don't know, an Indesit oven is typically a lot cheaper than a Neff oven. Again, they position themselves in different places in the market. So appliances aside, the actual kitchen that's left in your house once you've bought it, what's the difference between one that you might get from an independent retailer and one that you might get from one of those guys I just mentioned before? And the difference between that ultimately will come down to longevity. I've already done how long it's going to last. I've already done a few videos on units and doors, and I've just done one on worktops today. and by all means go and have a look at that for a much deeper dive into that detail. But there's a big difference, and just to summarize that quickly, that difference is about 15 years of looking good. You know, you might expect 5 or 6 years out of some of them before the aging process starts to kick in. Typically, if you buy in Egger-based units with Blum hinges and drawers, it's more likely to be 20 years before that aging process kicked in. Actually, the average in the UK for changing kitchens is less than 5, believe it or not. No, it's there or thereabouts. So we know that these kitchens can age quite quickly. So there's a big difference in the quality of the kitchen that you're going to get. It's a big jump, not just between Kinder Kitchens where I work, but in that sort of retailer in general. It's that's a thing. And the next thing is, the next reason that there's a difference in price is the service. The service that you're going to get, I'm going to talk about two on this, the service that you're going to get in terms of your installation, and also the service that you're going to get in terms of your design work. So in terms of your design work, we'll just do that first. Typically, when you walk to one of those big companies that I just mentioned before, there won't be any kind of really bespoke design work going on. They're not going to make anything for your kitchen. It's all going to be pretty standard stuff. So they're going to use the standard units they've got on the shelf, the standard doors that they've got on the shelf, the standard appliances. There won't be a lot of bespoke stuff taking place, which is fine if you don't need bespoke and you don't want fancy shelves or nice larders with spice racks, and you know, if you don't need any of that stuff, that's absolutely fine. But it is the thing. So they are designing with your budget in mind. And if you were to go into a retailer, a high street retailer, someone that was more expensive, and they'd come to your home and done a measure, you might have said, "Oh, I'd like some shelving around here, or I'd like one of those copper things," and you know, so they would be designing all that stuff into your design. And that's quite important that we realise that one of them, we didn't design anything that was going to cost too much money, and one of them we did design things into it that is going to have a cost on a difference to the cost. So there's a design difference. And the other thing is the service and aftercare that we get with that kitchen. And I guess now is the time to bring in the story of the lady that I sat down with in our showroom 6 or 8 months ago, a lady that we fitted a kitchen for, and she came to see me. I'd already fitted a friend's kitchen anyway. That had all gone fine, and so it was a good recommendation. I went to her house, I measured it, I wrote down everything that she wanted. She came into the shop, I've done all the design work, I've got her images there, and I've got a price and everything. I run through the price, and she said, "I love everything that you've done. I know you're going to do a great job because I've seen what you're doing at a friend's house. But I've had another quote from somewhere else, and it's significantly cheaper, and I wondered if you would price match it." And obviously I had to say, "Yes, of course I'll price match it. It's absolutely fine." And she says, "Well, it is quite a lot cheaper, so you might want to look at it first." And I said, "Don't need to look at it, I'll price match it, it's fine." But I'm not just going to price match the quote, I'm also going to match the service and aftercare that the other company is offering. And if that's okay with you, then that's fine. I'll give you one of my kitchens instead of one of their kitchens at pretty much the same price. But I'm going to give you their service as well, because I can't afford to do my service and their price, because that wouldn't be fair to me, and I just couldn't afford to do that. Anyway, she chose to just go with the original quote. She doesn't want to get involved in all that kind of stuff, which I kind of knew that she wouldn't anyway. And that project took place, and it was kind of that conversation that inspired this video and what I'm going to do here. And is it possible to do that? Is it possible for a company like this to supply kitchens at the price of a flat pack company? And it's an interesting question. It's interesting from the perspective of the retailer and from the clients as well. There's an important thing here that needs talking about. So when I say the service and the aftercare, what does the service look like? Tell me what it actually looks like. It looks like this. Your design's finished. Yeah, I want your kitchen. Right, okay then. So from that point on, that design and your kitchen is my responsibility. It's my job to come back out and actually check that kitchen's going to fit in there. And if it doesn't, it's my job to do something about it, and that includes the cost. So that's a biggie. Take responsibility for the design. The Sparky, removal of the kitchen, plasterer, fitter, floor covering, skirting boards, everything else that's got to go into this thing, this whole operation that's all got to come together in order for this to happen smoothly and quickly in 1 week. The entire thing's got to take place in a week or just over, depending on the project. That's all my responsibility. There's a lot of work to do there in organising that, and like I say, the responsibility element is important too. So that's what I mean by the service, and of course there's an aftercare element in this. I serve all these local people around here. They all rely on me when they get a problem with their appliance. I don't know, let's suppose your washing machine breaks down and they get a replacement from the NEF or whoever. How are they going to get it out and get it refitted again? They'll come to me and I'll have to organise it. I won't have to organise it, I'll choose to organise it, because that's the sort of aftercare that we offer. If I'm just going to go out on a limb here and say if you phoned up B&Q, that probably wouldn't happen. I'm guessing that wouldn't happen. So the aftercare looks like that. So we now know what the difference is between the two products. The quality of the product, the quality of the service, and the quality of the aftercare, and the design work of how we sent the kitchen in terms of its cost with our design work. So what do each cost represent? What percentage of the price difference between the two kitchens do those individual things actually represent? And I'm going to surprise you here by saying the difference in the cost of the actual kitchen, this is the bit that will be in your house after the project's finished, the bit that will be in there, not necessarily including appliance, because you might have a cheap kitchen with expensive appliances or vice versa. And the appliances are pretty much the same cost wherever you buy them from anyway. But the actual furniture that you're left with, your units, your doors, your backbone of your kitchen, and your worktops, and any other fixtures and fitting, handle, drawers, hinges, all that kind of stuff, I can pretty much sell that stuff the same price that they can. And that in itself raises a question, because if I can sell something that's of infinitely better quality almost at the same price as you are, how are you making a lower quality product so expensive? So it's not a huge difference. That may come as a surprise to you, but trust me, I'm right on this. There's a far bigger difference goes into all that service. There is a lot of man hours goes into organising that whole hand-holding, let me deal with the whole service element of this job. And that represents the biggest contributor to the difference of those prices. And that's not just for me, that's for anyone who does what I do. Anybody who's organising the whole thing like I am, that will be the same for them. It's an expensive job. And the design work, of course, will be easier, simpler. I'm going to save money there, or the retailer's going to save money there on the design work. He knows he's not going to have to organise bespoke things, so he's not going to have to make anything in the workshop themselves, which is labour intensive, expensive materials. If you're making stuff like we do out of oak for internal spice racks and all sorts of things we do for internal larders and solid oak shelving, all takes time, it all takes money, it all takes organising, chasing down information, nailing everything, getting it all right. So that care all costs something. You always, of course, allow something for later on. Ultimately, you might need me to go back and do something. You might ask me to change an appliance. You know, my time still needs to be paid for. Again, if I don't have to do that, I don't have to allow for it. I don't have to allow for any aftercare money. So the aftercare, the design work, and the faff involved in organising the job for you and producing your bespoke items, that represents a far bigger chunk of the money than what the difference is just between the furniture. And that's a really interesting point, because now we know that and we fully understand why that's the case. Why can't we go into a company that does supplies really decent quality kitchen and say to them, okay, I want a kitchen from you guys, but I want it at their price. But I'm happy for you not to go through all the rigmarole that you normally go to. I'm happy for you to do it on the same basis, pretty much. One design, give me the design, I'll check it's all right, and then deliver it on the day of my choosing. And that's absolutely fine. We can do that. I think that's pretty logical. Where does that price end up? I think the average kitchen from one of the companies that I mentioned before would be levitating somewhere around £6,000 to £8,000, depending on the size, obviously, somewhere like that. Let's have a look at the design that I've got in front of me. I've got a kitchen here, which is this kitchen's never actually come to be. I took this out of an old file from a few years ago this morning, and I've kind of recosted it for this exercise. I've got a paper copy in front of me, but I'll pop one on the screen for you guys to see now. And we're just going to talk you through it. So on the bottom left hand side, you can see there's a sink area there, a corner unit. There's a 150 unit just to the right hand side of the sink. Then there's a corner unit, and then there's another 600 unit at the end. There's two wall units above. On the other side there in the corner, we've got a fridge in the corner, and then there's a 600 unit, an oven, an under-counter oven, a hob, a gas hob, and an extractor above that, and then a drawer pack next to that, and then there's an L-shaped corner, so two different corner units in this, which is always a great idea. Then you've got another unit at the end, a breakfast bar with some seating, and we've got some wall units. There's two 800 wall units above where the corner unit is by the sink, and then there's two 700 units above the breakfast bar, and there's a 300 unit to the left hand side, or a 261 unit to the left hand side of the hob there, just going up to the edge of the window. And I'll just show you an image of what that looks like, and just on this render we can see it's that's actually a solid wood door. It's got a laminate worktop with a timber pattern of some kind in there. Some appliances, black glass splashback. It's got upstands at the back of the worktop. It's in a blue solid wood door, which has been painted in a blue colour. I don't know the name of that exact colour. So it's a nice kitchen. It looks absolutely fine. It looks absolutely great. And this kitchen, without appliances, when I costed this kitchen without appliances, that came to about £6,800 for the kitchen. And with appliances came to about, I think it was about 8,000 or just under £8,000 or somewhere just around there. Don't quote me on that because I left the figure upstairs. But from memory, it's about £8,000. So really, and that would be with a kitchen with an Eggy unit, Blum drawers, Blum hinges, solid wood painted doors, good warranty on that, an Axiom laminate worktop and upstands, splashback, everything you need, handles, everything that you need to make that design come true. So in reality, we know that the cost of the actual furniture doesn't really vary that much between like I say, the two sort of different types of companies that we've been talking about there, and most of that cost is actually coming down into the service. So I wanted to share that lot with you. The original question is, can we get the best units, doors, you know, a good quality kitchen, a decent quality kitchen, can we get it for flat back prices? And I think it's yes. I think it's worth going into your, you know, wherever you are, you've got a B&Q plan or Howden's plan or something, a plan from one of those companies I was talking about before. And remember, this isn't about dissing those companies. Everyone's got their own price point and they've all got their own place in the market, and that's absolutely fine. But if you've got a plan from somewhere like that, is it worth taking it into somewhere where you could potentially get a better quality cabinet for similar money? Yes, I'd be happy for someone to do that with us. And I think wherever you are, I think that would be a very good idea. It's certainly worth asking. Anyway, that's the end of the video. I found that very interesting. It's something that I've been asked about quite a few times. You know, I often get asked about people who I know thought about coming for a kitchen, but it look expensive. Like most high street places, they usually have quite a smart showroom and stuff like that. And so it was a question that I wanted to explore for myself, and I'm glad that I have. I'm glad I've shared it with you guys. I hope it's some use to you. If you're doing your kitchen at the moment, then best of luck with that project. Don't forget to check out some of my other videos, because I'm giving all the great information out here. This is where it's all at. We've just done one on worktops this morning. That's fantastic. And everything that you need to know you're going to find on there, including costing of kitchens and how to get discount on kitchens as well. That's really important, so check that one out. In the meantime, best of luck with your projects, and I'll see you all soon. Take care. Bye bye.